ചാർജ് ഉണ്ടോ? ലാപ്ടോപ്പിൽ ചാർജ് ഉണ്ടോ?
ഇട്ട് വെക്കാം. ഉണ്ട്, ചാർജ്. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Hari Om to everybody. For the next 2-3 days, we will try to go through it again and again. Something of it will remain with us. So, introduction. Beloved Papa beautifully describes the Bhagavad Gita as a veritable mosaic of eternal wisdom. This sacred scripture provides insight into every aspect of human life, addressing both spiritual and physical dimensions with profound clarity. Its timeless relevance lies in the fact that it leaves no stone unanswered about how to navigate life's challenges and opportunities. For those seeking the ultimate truth of philosophy and practical life for everyday living, the Gita is an unparalleled guide. The central message of this great work is the unity and harmony between the soul and God, and between God and nature. Ekanathishwaran, a renowned spiritual teacher, likens the Gita to a map and a guidebook, explaining that it offers a systematic overview of life's journey. Like a seasoned guide, it lays out the terrain, highlights various paths to the summit, warns of political potential pitfalls, provides practical advice. Ishwaran emphasizes that the Gita speaks not only to scholars of philosophy, but to anyone navigating the complexities of life. For instance, consider a situation where someone is torn between personal ambition and family responsibilities. The Gita offers tools for finding balance through principles such as detachment, selfless action, and focus on one's duty. Beloved Papa captures the essence of the Gita as the spontaneity of life born of egoless purity and innocence. He points to the state of perfect freedom and divine ecstasy that emerges when one surrenders the ego and aligns with the universal truth. The Gita does not ask us to abandon the world or our responsibilities. Instead, it encourages us to divinize our actions by performing them selflessly and in harmony with the divine will. For example, a doctor treating patients without attachment to recognition or reward exemplifies the Gita's teaching as selfless action. The Gita's message is not confined to one era or culture. Its wisdom speaks to every being in every age. This sacred text stands apart in its scope and depth. It provides not only lofty philosophical insights, but also practical guidance on how to live a life of meaning and fulfillment amidst the challenges. Whether one is a student, a professional, a parent, or a seeker of truth, the Bhagavad Gita remains a timeless source of inspiration and a path to self-realization. So this covers the introductory part. Veritable mosaic of eternal wisdom. It's a map and a guidebook. Spontaneity of life born of egoless purity and innocence. And it is not confined to one particular era or a culture. These are the four important things in the introduction. And from here we move, approach to Bhagavad Gita from the day-to-day life. The allegory of Kurukshetra battlefield brings the Gita's teachings to life. This battlefield is not just a historical or mythical setting. It represents the inner struggles we face every day. Lord Krishna, the charioteer and guide, symbolizes the indwelling reality, the divine wisdom in us. Arjuna, the warrior, filled with doubt and confusion, represents our sense of individuality, often torn between conflicting emotions and responsibilities. The Kauravas are the negative forces within us, greed, anger, pride that pulls us down. In contrast, the Pandavas symbolize positive virtues such as truth, courage and compassion. The Kurukshetra is the world within and without, a stage where these forces clash. So this is how the Gita, now what is its relevance for me? So introduction and then approach to Bhagavad Gita from the day-to-day life. And where from this Bhagavad Gita has come? The ancient rishis, often regarded as spiritual scientists, delved deeper into the eternal wisdom, uncovered profound truths which they combined into the extensive teachings of the Upanishads. To make these teachings more accessible to the masses, their essence was distilled, presented in the form of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is evident from the following dhyana shloka. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopala nandanaha partho vatsa sudhir bhokta dugdam kidamrutam mahate. All the Upanishads are the cows, the milkman is Lord Krishna, Arjuna is the calf, men and women of purified intellect are the drinkers, and the supreme nectar Gita is the milk. So its source, it is coming from Upanishads. Introduction and approach to Bhagavad Gita. Not as a text. We are trying to understand it within ourselves. Practical. And then where from this came? Origin. Then clarion call of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Through the first stanza, the Bhagavad Gita drives us to discover that every problem faced by us stems from not rising from me and mine. And the last stanza assures us stems from rising or not rising from me and mine. And the last stanza assures us that when we experience that He is the indwelling reality, who is behind all our thoughts, words, and deeds, we will enjoy happiness, peace, prosperity born out of the guidance from Him. In other words, Bhagavad Gita is directing us to move from me and mine to me to we and then me to Him. From self-assertion born out of the sense of individuality to surrender to the power activating the sense of individuality. The Bhagavad Gita ultimately teaches us to rise above the limitations of the ego. It shows that by merging our individual identity with God, the universal soul, we achieve true freedom and peace. That means we should know that we are only playing the part allotted to us by Him in this world Leela, and nothing is really initiated by us. So this is the clarion call of Bhagavad Gita. So again, for enabling us to remember, we have split it into introduction, how it applies, approach to our life, where from it has come, from the Upanishads, and then what ultimately is the goal pointed out, from me to we, and then me to Him. The first stanza and the last stanza. And journey into the Bhagavad Gita. Now the journey starts. Srimad Bhagavad Gita is an 18-roomed mansion, each room having unique dimension containing different number of shlokas on varied topics, all pointing out the central theme of developing harmony at home, at workplace, and with friends, for which the only way is to see His role in anything and everything. It may be very difficult to go through all rooms, all chapters, and register the contents in one attempt or even in a few attempts. This chart gives an overview of its voluminous factor. Chapter number 1, 47 shlokas, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Key points: delusion born out of me and mine. Second chapter, 72 shlokas, Sankhya Yoga, immortality and indivisibility of the self, perishability of the body, act while not expecting the fruit, self-control, equanimity of the mind, efficiency in action. We are just entering and coming out, no? Third chapter, 43 shlokas, Karma Yoga, act with dispassion, act with freedom from attachment and aversion. Chapter number 4, 42 shlokas, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, while in action, not becoming aware of the same and feeling the action in non-action. Fifth chapter, 29 shlokas, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, feel detached from action while actions are going on. Sixth chapter, 47 shlokas, Atma Samyam Yoga, moderation, one-pointed devotion, evenness of mind. Seventh chapter, 30 shlokas, Jnana Vijnana Yoga, origin of all multivarious creation, para and apara. Source is one and the same. Eighth chapter, 28 shlokas, Akshara Brahma Yoga, need to become aware of the inevitability of the death phenomenon and to remember Him at the time of death. Number 9th chapter, 34 shlokas, Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga. Everything is in Him, while He is not to be limited in anything. Whatever we do is to be offered to Him. Number 10th chapter, 42 shlokas, Vibhuti Yoga. Realize the eternal ephemeral nature, freedom from delusion, patience, adherence to truth, control, equal vision, non-violence, concentration, etc. is Vibhuti. 11th chapter, 55 shlokas, Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. He is present in different manifestations as different attributes. Number 12th chapter, 20 slokas, Bhakti Yoga, definition of the dearest devotee of God. 13th chapter, 34 slokas, Kshetra Kshetratna Vibhaga Yoga, separate the body and knower of the body by following the values. 14th chapter, 27 slokas, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, bind the immutable being to the body. 15th chapter, 20 slokas, Purushottama Yoga. To know him is jnana, to love him is bhakti, to serve him is karma. There are two beings in the world, the perishable and the imperishable. At the same time, there is Purushottama pervading everything and sustaining them. 16th chapter, 24 slokas, Devasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. Elevating and downpulling forces are inside us, and by becoming aware of the same, hold on to the elevating ones. 17th chapter, 28 slokas, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Austerity in body, mind and speech, Sattvic in food, Yajna, Dana, Tapas. Without Shraddha, when austerity is performed, it is called Asat. 18th chapter, 78 slokas, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Total surrender clears all delusions, resulting in total effacement of the sense of individuality, thus becoming one with him. When we have pointed out this key, we don't have to necessarily limit ourselves. At one stretch, what it means to us, And with that, if we get aligned, we go. And we may be able to unearth so many other things. So many slokas, totaling in 700 slokas. Very difficult to cover everything. Okay, we may be able to cover in the textual way, but the impact will not be there. So that is why again and again we go through this chart also, and then shift our focus on that which aligns with our being. And then, as beginners, we make initial visits to all rooms, means all chapters, observe what stands out to us, and attempt to connect each observation with the overreaching theme. Regular revisits to each room will gradually provide greater clarity on the thread that runs through them all. At the same time, we must endeavor to interpret the theme in our own way, for only then will it truly become our own, rather than a mere copy-paste exercise as it often is now. So we come out and then we again enter. The first visit, First visit is to go and just come out, and the second visit is to go by room. Here itself there are 47 slokas in the first chapter. So what do? We will just go through. The first sloka through the words of Dhritarashtra draws our attention to the cardinal mistake we are made to commit by allowing our mind to get dominated with the me and mine behind all our thoughts, words and deeds. Anything. We start from the me and mine. And this is the root cause of all battles and conflicts in our own life, resulting in not becoming aware of his presence. When the me and mine is dominant, we don't recognize that there is a power behind the me and mine. So there are slokas from 21 to 47. Okay, we have gone through that. What is the learning from the first chapter? At some point in life, here again we have only picked something, Each one has to work out what is the learning. At some point in life, we often find ourselves attached to objects, people or situations. While these attachments are natural, they can sometimes lead to feelings of dejection, disappointment or disillusionment. we go back our own life, right from our childhood. In such moments, we may adopt an escapist attitude, seeking to shield ourselves from emotional strain. To justify our action, we might resort to lofty words or rationalization. Yet, amidst these struggles, there remains a quiet awareness within, a sense that behind our individuality lies the presence of God. Right from our childhood, whether we like it or not, the Indian system, the Indian culture, somehow provides, we go to, as soon as we finish our bath and before we go to the school, parents or elders will say, go to the puja room. We go there, we mutter something with faith or without faith and apply something on our forehead, prostrate, come out. This is how, the culture is introduced to us. Though we may not apply our mind deeply on that. So amidst these struggles, whenever we are tossed hither and thither, there remains a quiet awareness within, a sense that behind our individuality lies the presence of God. We may go to temples, we may go offer our worship there, we may go to ashrams, we may see Mahatma there. This is how slowly, some higher power is there, that's slowly. So the essence that behind our individuality lies the presence of God, the originator and the protector. It is in these fleeting yet profound moments of recognition that we instinctively turn to Him, seeking guidance and solace. This reflection brings to mind the words of Vinobaji. Arjuna's condition helps us greatly in understanding the rest of the Gita. It reveals Arjuna's straightforwardness and honesty. The word Arjuna in fact means one who is honest and straightforward in nature. He candidly told Krishna all that he felt and thought, hid nothing from him, ultimately surrendered to him totally. In fact, he was already his devotee. When he made Krishna his charioteer and entrusted to him the reins of his horses, he had got ready to give into his hand the reins of his mind also. Let us do likewise. Let us not think that unlike Arjuna, we do not have Krishna to guide us. Let us not get caught in the fallacy that Krishna was a historical person. Everybody has Krishna in his heart as the indwelling self. He is nearer to us than the nearest. Let us bear our heart with all its impurities and weaknesses before Him and say, O Lord, I take refuge in you. You are my sole guide and master. Show me the right path. I shall follow it. If we do so, Arjuna's charioteer will be our charioteer too. We shall hear the Gita from his own lips and he will lead us to victory. These words remind us that Krishna is not confined to history but lives within each of us, ready to guide when we open our hearts to Him. So this is some pearls we have picked up from the first chapter. These are all the learnings. Again, when we go and apply our mind, we get more. Then we move to chapter number 2. In our daily interactions, we are often driven by the notions of me and mine, confined within the boundaries of the body-mind-intellect complex. Sri Krishna, in this chapter, emphasizes the transient nature of the physical body and reveals the eternal essence of our true self. To liberate ourselves from the grip of individualistic desires and attachments, Krishna advocates the cultivation of equanimity in all circumstances. By maintaining a balanced mind, unaffected by the ever-changing highs and lows of life, we can transcend the limitation of the ego, balanced mind. This inner stability paves the way for mental clarity, enabling us to recognize the divine presence in every thought, every word, every action. With this awareness, we are guided to act with wisdom, purpose, sense of higher alignment. So the second chapter gives us this, balance of mind, sthita prajna. As we said, there are so many things, but we will pick one aspect. So the first chapter, learning, enabled us. We will go to the learning here. Then we'll come back. We are not going through the stanzas. Learning from second chapter. Every problem arises from the sense of individuality, which is rooted in the body, mind, intellect. We tend to respond to events and people from this limited perspective. To free ourselves from the perceived problems and obstacles that stem from this mindset, we must first recognize the ephemeral nature of the body and the fluctuating tendencies of the mind. This understanding can be cultivated by reflecting on our life experiences, however, preferences, priorities, and even the stages of our physical body have continuously evolved. Continuously evolved. When we look back, through this introspection, we come to realize that every action undertaken by a human being is driven by the mind. And when the mind is restless, distorted, or directionless, it can lead to chaos and missteps. The key, therefore, lies in claiming the mind and adopting a broader perspective, viewing life from a higher, more enlightened vantage point. Achieving this requires cultivating the qualities of a person of steady wisdom, one who remains composed and balanced amidst life's ups and downs. So first chapter gives us the learning that we have to bring Krishna, indwelling reality, who will guide us when we are unable to move forward, when we are unable to cross over the conflicts. And the second chapter, there is a methodology involved, that is somehow to train our equipment, which gets a balanced, steady mind. So steady, man of steady wisdom. And then now we move to chapter number 3. In the first chapter, Moha has been pointed out as the sole cause of one's despondency and the consequent spirit of inaction that overtook him. The second chapter deals with the first step, which the despondent soul should take for freeing himself from the clutches of Moha. Through Moha, man holds that this body and the visible manifestation are the only reality, and this earthbound spirit is justified in attaching itself to these eternal external objects. Again, a quick recap, that's all, for first and second, before we go to the third. To remove this misconception, the deluded mind is made aware of the changeless, static, infinite, omnipresent Atman. So the intellect of man is awakened to its hitherto dormant sense of discrimination between the mutable and the immutable, the perishable and the imperishable, the individual and the universal, the seen and the unseen, the form and the formless, the non-eternal and the eternal. Arjuna accepts this part of the yoga, which is attained through discrimination, but fails to understand why there should be action performed by one who has reached this high status. Through the third chapter, Sri Krishna says that even after the realization of the soul as eternal and infinite Atman, a man, through the divine force of Prakriti, has still to perform karma in the world. While in the field of karma, to be unaffected by action, that is, to have no impress of it left on the pure spirit dwelling within, is to eliminate the artificial sense of actorship or doership, and to dissolve the ego through a complete surrender of all actions to God. So action we cannot avoid, but we can try to get ourselves freed from the doership. Prakriti, made up of the Trigunas, is ever active in the triple nature and tendencies of these gunas, and the Atman is ever unaffected witness of the active Prakriti. Through the knowledge of this truth alone does man attain perfect yoga. So Rajasic, Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic, right from the moment we get up till we retire to bed. This is the Prakriti, this is the nature of our the sense of individuality. So it goes on acting based upon these three gunas, at home, in the office, with friends. But the power behind it remains untouched, unaffected. At this stage of Sri Krishna's teaching, he voices a note of warning that this great secret of yoga should not be taught to the unprepared and uninitiated, because the ordinary mind, untutored and undisciplined, will not be able to understand aright the inner sense with which the teaching is pregnant. In other words, it might as well be said that this mystery of the yoga can be grasped and put into practice only by one who is by discipline fitted for it. A casual study will not help. Because it is so intricate, Act we must, but at the same time, what is it that I should do? When I am fully ruled by my own preconceived notions, all these things will not go in. That is why unprepared, no. So we have to wait for that opportune moment. 36 years Papa lived the ordinary life. He did not bring out any of these dimensions during these 36 years. But only from that period. In 1920, 36th period. He was born in 1884. The turn came. Before that, if this was told, mind will not. That is what Papa means here. These are all Papa's words only. On a broad basis, a rule or dharma or action is enjoined upon the progressive soul, namely that he should guide and adjust the works of his prakriti in accordance with his inherent nature or sabhava. Here a telling suggestion is made to say that imitation is dangerous and that each soul must seek his evolution on the spiritual path in his own individualistic, unique way, and thus ultimately attain the fullness of freedom in all works in which he is made to engage as they come to him in the usual course. God, the source from which we have come, he has made us unique. So each one's approach, each one's method, each one's way of handling is different. This Papa cautions us, no imitation. That means we have to unearth our own method. The clues are given, no doubt. But in this third chapter, in his book Gita Sandesh, he gives clearly this guidance. That means every time we have to do the manana, not learning by heart the contents given by any commentator. But those commentaries will definitely help, just like we are quoting Papa. But we have to do the manana by ourselves. Each clause each sloga, when it goes, we try to understand the meaning in our own way, not by understanding the words of others. It gives them some clarity. But ultimately, if it has to go deep, the manana should be done. So that is why he clearly says, here a telling suggestion is made to say that imitation is dangerous and that each soul must seek his evolution on the spiritual path in his own individualistic, unique way, and thus ultimately attain the fullness of freedom in all the works in which he is made to engage as they come to him in the usual course. Then once again Arjuna, realizing the difficulty of controlling the mind and senses which are ever conspiring to darken the intellect and make the soul an ignorant tool in the hands of Prakriti, raises the following question. Knowing as the man does that he is the pure, unsullied, sinless truth, what is it that makes him fall from that state of knowledge and involve himself in the works of sin and misery? The divine teacher here reiterates what he said before, that it is desire and wrath born of Rajoguna which are the mortal foes of an awakened soul. When desire enters the mind, heart, and senses of man, that very instant the illumined soul of man is again enveloped in darkness and he turns into a frantic and deluded nature. Therefore, the command is to kill this powerful enemy called desire, the root cause of all man's fall from his divine state. Destruction of desire is possible only after the soul has realized its true being and nature as the supreme Atman beyond the senses, mind, and intellect. The power of the Atman is irresistible because it is invincible. This divine power, by eradicating desire and throwing its full blaze of light on the soul, purifies and fills with bliss all the movements of the intellect, heart, and senses, and the body, thus transmuting his relative life of Prakriti in all its activities into a blissful expression of the changeless, eternal divine. He proceeds to dilate upon this karmic aspect of existence. He declares that perfection consists in the performance of karma, in the freedom and detachment of the Atman. Let not action be done from the promptings of desire, but according to a certain rule or dharma, imbued with the spirit of sacrifice and non-attachment. So to attain the Atman is not to become actionless. Action has still to be done without attachment. However, it is incumbent upon the aspirant to perform action in the earlier stages without desiring for its fruit, but with this whole object of reaching the supreme status of the Atman and thus be free from the bondage of karma. So 1 and 2, sloga. Arjuna, after hearing Krishna's long lecture, second chapter, seeks clarification as to which path of knowledge for Sankhya, path of karma for yogis, he has to follow. Sthita prajnasya kabhasha, so many things he has in the perishability of the body, mind, body, and the indestructibility of the Atman, all those things are jnana path. So he got confused, which is the one I have to choose. And 3 to 16, so many points. By non-performance of action, none reaches inaction. None reaches inaction. No one ever rises to perfection by mere outer sannyas. Muta. I couldn't. Yeah, tell me.
No, something I just do it in 1 minute. I'm making some noise. I will make them.
I cannot hear whatever you said. We have done the muting.
Not me. It's okay, I'm just doing it. Somebody starting something. We are asking request if you have to mute.
Okay.
Not somebody else. There is that.
Very interesting chapter. Deals with our workaday life. No one ever rises to perfection by mere outer sannyas. By merely giving up action, no one attains perfection. Gunas and Prakriti make everyone to act without rest. It will not help by merely controlling the senses outwardly, while the cravings are deeply revolving in the inner cravings. So what is needed is directing the organs of action based on the control of the senses by the mind and with detachment. The mind has to be trained, with detachment. Action is superior to inaction. Maintenance of the body requires basic activities. Even if somebody says, I am not interested, it will not. You have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to take bath, you have to maintain the body. Because it's the gunas. Mutuality, interdependence is the way to progress, not by isolation, not by confrontation, not by exploitation. Those who live with the spirit of giving are free from all sins. From food, every being comes. Rains are needed for food production. Yajna causes rain. Yajna is born from karma. Karma has come from Veda, and Veda from the imperishable. Life lived in ignorance of the above is in vain. So the role of karma, today if I go and if I have to take my meal, the rice, vegetables, pulses, spices, everything come from where? Somebody has to toil, Somebody has to toil, and then how it reaches my hand? Through so many persons, through so many mediums. Just imagine. So from food, every being comes. Annat bhavati samma. So where from this food comes? This chapter takes us to that. That particular shloka is very, very interesting. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyadi annasambhavaha yajnat bhavati parjanyo yajna karma samudbhavaha. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyad annasambhavaha yajnat bhavati parjanyo yajna karma samudbhavaha. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagadam brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam. So from food everything comes. Rains are needed for production. Rains are water. Yajna causes rain. Yajna is born from karma. Karma has come from Veda, and Vedas from the imperishable. Life lived in ignorance of the above is in vain. And then those who feel full inside have nothing to achieve and therefore do not engage in self-oriented shit. Wait. do action without any expectation which will lead to supreme state. By performing action, people like Janaka have reached the highest. Do involve in actions in self for maintenance of world order. People follow whatever great people do. Lord engages in actions though he does not have to achieve anything. If Lord does not involve in activities, everybody follows. No? If I don't do action, it will lead to chaos. That's what he says. Normally, people act with expectation. Great people do action for the world welfare. The wise man should not shake the faith of others. This is also a very important point. We read something, we hear something, we form a concept. But when somebody comes with simple faith and hears about his own experience, because everybody is unique, So God has made him to approach in that way. So don't shake. Na buddhi bedam janayet. For the sake of new people who are hearing for the first time, we will repeat. One day when we were in Puja Swamiji's room, where we are sitting now, one relatively old, not very old, middle-aged person, advanced middle age. So he came and he asked us whether he had got a doubt. He said, you asked Swamiji. We were also there. And he said, I don't know any Shastras. I don't know anything about the disciplines, spiritual disciplines. But I want to attain him. I know that he is there in me and everywhere. But how to do that, I don't know. Because I did not have any opportunity to learn Shastras or to go through any disciplines. I did not go to any ashram. I did not meet any saint. So, spontaneous reaction from Swamiji was 75% of the problem has been solved. The mind is fresh, It is not crowded with so many concepts drawn out of learning, hearing, so many things. We may derive some joy, but he is there, he must be 60 plus, and give him a tall talk about all those things. What will happen if he has not had the background of, say, for example, Papa's approach? There are so many approaches. Papa's approach, suppose somebody who has no idea, we have to gauge ourselves. We should not shake their faith. Many may be going through concentrated on the personal aspect of God. They may be deriving the benefit. So that is what here he says, never shake. The wise man should not shake the faith of others. Gunas only motivate actions, but egoistic people feel they are doing it. One who knows that action owe their origin to gunas do not get attached. One who knows that action owe their origin to gunas do not get attached to them. Dedicate all action to the Lord as an aid for final realization. Being free from desires and the sense of agency, engage in battle of life. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigata jvaraha. Renouncing all actions in me, with the mind centered on the self, free from hope and egoism, free from fever, mental fever, you fight. By following the above, you will be free from the karmic bondage. Those who do not follow their law, they lose the opportunity to redeem themselves. When actions are motivated by gunas, what is the use of feeling that you are controlling the senses? Pairs of opposites to inimical, pairs of opposites to inimical to self-redemption. Holding on to one's own dutiful activities is always better than following others. Desire born out of Rajoguna impedes your spiritual progress. Actions motivated by desires delude the senses, mind, and intellect. Control of the sense leads to control of desires. Self is greater than intellect, mind, and sense organs. These are 43 points, 43 slogas. So he brings out 43. So suppose what is the learning? Everyone is continuously engaged in action, whether at home, in the workplace, or within the society. And these actions bring us a variety of experiences. While some may provide fleeting moments of joy, they often fade, leaving behind feelings of sorrow or dissatisfaction. Yet, action is an inevitable part of life. It is essential to recognize that we have the power to transform our actions into something purposeful and uplifting. By aligning our daily